welcome back to my channel. My name is Evan. If it's your first time stopping here, you are very much welcome. In today's video, we're going to get into a bit of more details regarding my PR application. So I done a video about coming here as a student, on a 1 year study permit, and then getting to the work permit, and then permanent residency application. And then I got some comments in that video, and mostly in my DMs on Instagram, asking for a bit of more details because some of them I'd watched when I talked about how to apply for a study visa, and some of them are also on a 1 year program, so they're trying to see how to transition. So I thought to just do the video. I promised somebody I'm going to do this video by the end of August, so I'm trying to fulfill my promise. So if it's something you're interested in, please be interested. Watch, subscribe, like, share, leave me comments. I reply to all my comments. Let's get right into the video. First of all, there are so many different pathways that you can use to come into Canada. I think there's about 80 different pathways, but there are some major ones, and provincial nomination is one of the major ones. The other two are like the Federal Skilled Worker Program. There's also the Canadian Experience Class. There's also the skilled trades. So there are different ways that you can migrate into Canada. So in this video, I'm just going to focus on provincial nomination. If you guys want a video where I talk about the other parts and like some of the requirements based on what I know, let me know, leave me a comment below, and I'll gladly do that for you guys. So it's also known as PNP, Provincial Nomination Program, and my reference title in this video is part of the Express Entry process, which is a point-based system where they give you points based on certain criteria such as your age, work experience, if you have a spouse, your English proficiency, your education, things like that, if you have family here. So they kind of like score you based off of certain personal details, and then you get a score, and then that's just the way that they used to get skilled people in various areas, in various occupations, to migrate into Canada to help the economy. So that's the whole Express Entry system. So in that system, there are different pathways in which PNP, Provincial Nomination Program, is part of. In previous videos, I've talked about how after school I took my English test. I already had my WES. So just so you know, WES, which is World Education Services or something, which helps to evaluate your credentials, especially if they're from outside of Canada, and just try to match it and give the equivalent in Canadian education standards. So there's WES, you have to have that document is valid for 5 years, and there's also the English test you have to take. So there are two types. You can either do CELPIP or you do IELTS. I did CELPIP. I always recommend CELPIP. I think it's even cheaper than IELTS, and in my opinion it's easier because I tried to study for IELTS like back when I was in Nigeria. For CELPIP, the exam is English test, so that they grade you on reading, listening, writing, speaking, and it's all done on a computer. Even the speaking, you get like a headphones. I did a video where I talked about my CELPIP process, so I'll probably link it up here for you guys to watch. And you do the test, you get a result in like 3 to 4 days. I did mine like 3 days after I finished my final exam. Yeah, I did mine. You get it and try to aim for a very high score. There's some things you can't control. You can't control your age. You're already your age. You can't change it, right? You can't control some factors, but some things you can kind of control. That's the English test. So try to aim at a very high score because it will really increase your chances. For the CELPIP, the band is up to 12. For IELTS, the band is up to 10. I did that and I got my result, which was good. I got a 10, 10, 10, 12. The 12 was in writing, but I got 10 across the rest, reading, listening, and speaking, which was really good. So immediately I put in my profile, created my profile to get into the pool. You have to have WES and CELPIP to even get into the pool, because they'll ask for the WES reference number and they'll ask for your CELPIP scores. Before that, there's a tool. It's called the CRS tool. It's like a comprehensive ranking system that you can use to kind of gauge what your score will kind of be before you actually officially get in the pool. So I'm going to put a link to the CRS tool in the description box, so in case you guys want to use it, feel free to do so. You're welcome. Officially, once you put in the details in your IRCC stuff and you create your profile and you submit that, you're not paying at that point. You're just basically registering to be in the pool. You then get your official score. So my score at that point was 479, but like I said in that video, they were not doing any draws throughout that summer. They were only doing for provincial, right? So I was just in the pool for a very long time. Now fast forward to the following year, in around February, I got a notification of interest from Ontario. I did not apply to Ontario directly, but as part of the questions when you're trying to enter the pool, they would ask you what province are you interested in when you get into Canada. So I just put Ontario because I've been living in Ontario province. So I think they kind of look at that factor as well. In this video, I'm not going to talk about the pathways because the Ontario provincial program also has different pathways that you can use to get qualified to get the provincial nomination program. So I'll do another video because this video will just be too long, right? But yeah, if it's something you're interested in, let me know so I can do the video. So yeah, I got a notification of interest from Ontario saying that they're interested, expression of interest, they expressed their interest in me. They expressed their interest in me, saying that they're interested, and if I wanted to move forward with that, I had to, which I did basically. I had to create a profile because they had their own portal. It's different from the IRCC portal. It's called the OINP, it's Ontario Immigrant Nomination Program. So they had their own portal where you sign up, put in your information, put in lots of details. It's a whole process. Like they ask for details, they ask for documents, basically to back up that detail. So it's like a whole application process that you're going to do. The good thing is most of the documents that you put in there is what you would also need for IRCC. So once you're prepping it, you're like killing one stone with two birds basically. So prep the documents because you also need it for IRCC, and also make sure that the information you put in there must match the information that you put in IRCC, in the IRCC profile, right? So yeah, I did all of that, asked for lots of details, education, work experience, Towards the end of the video, I'll tell you guys the documents that I uploaded, just a summary of all the documents that I uploaded. I did all of that and submitted. So at the point of submission, guess what? You have to pay $1,500 Canadian dollars, 1,500 Canadian dollars. That's a lot. But yeah, you have to do what you have to do, I guess. I don't know if they're going to refund that money if they don't give you, but I don't see a reason why they shouldn't give you. If your documents are intact, they should actually. But yeah, you have to pay 1,500 Canadian dollars, and then the wait begins. So this was around February. I waited for like 2-3 months before they approved me. So they sent me an email saying that's Ontario nomination. So they gave me the certification of nomination, and they also gave me nomination approval letter, something like that. So that came as attachments to the email. Alongside with that, I got a notification from my IRCC profile that I have a message. You know how the message goes, right? You guys know you have to sign in to view the message. And in that, the message that I got was, they gave me an option. Oh, Ontario, they're providing your nomination, accept or decline. Of course I'm gonna accept. But also this was around May, June, and they had already announced that they were going to begin the draws regularly again in July for all programs. So at this point I had now qualified for Canadian experience class because at my 1-year work anniversary had hit, so I qualified for Canadian experience class, and they had added extra points to mine, so my score was about 500 and something. I qualified for the provincial nomination, and I also qualified for the federal skilled worker program, which was the original qualification that I had before. Also to bear in mind, when I was registering for the Ontario nomination program, like when I was creating my profile on their own portal, there are two branches. So they would ask you, are you doing Canadian experience or you're doing federal skilled worker program? So I chose the federal skilled worker program because at that point in February, my 1-year work anniversary had not hit. So I was about like 8 months in or something, or 9 months, I don't remember. So I hadn't worked up to 1 year in Canada yet. So I chose the federal skilled worker program because I had about a little bit more than 2 years work experience already from Nigeria. So I chose that process. However, regardless, and this cuts across the whole program, if you're doing federal skilled worker program and you're in Canada and you have a full-time job that you're working, you don't have to show the entire proof of funds that they need. So of course, for one person it's about $13,000 something. So you don't have to have that $13,000 ish in your bank account. What you use to kind of defend that will be your pay slips, employment letter, and like work permit or something like that. So as part of the documents that I uploaded, which I'll tell you guys a little bit about shortly, was my payslip. So I put my bank statements and stuff, of course, but I did not have to have the entire money in my account, right? If that makes sense. If you come from outside Canada and you don't have a job offer here in Canada, you have to have the proof of funds in your account or anywhere easily accessible to you. So just so you know. Back to when I got the notification, approved, declined, I was like, should I just wait till when they start the entire full process so I can qualify? Because at that point, I qualified for the 3 main pathways, which God is amazing. Me that was even getting scared before, like, oh my God, my work permit is going to expire. My work permit was expiring in August. This was June. I was like low-key scared, like, what am I going to do? But yeah, I qualified for the 3 different process, 3 different pathways. So I had to choose. I was like, you know what, I'm already living in Ontario, so I'm just gonna go with this one since I already have it ready to go. And what if when they start in July they don't call my number? What if they're gonna call like 560 and my number is not up to 560? So I was like, I'm not gonna take the chances, I'm going to do it. If it was another province, I don't know if I would have done that, but because it's Ontario, I'm already here, so I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it anyway. Okay, so I accepted the invitation, and once you accept, they block you off from other provinces. And of course, you can get invitations from multiple provinces at once. You just only have to accept one. So at the point when I accepted it, because my score was already 500 or something, they added the 600 points to my profile. So that's the thing with provincial nomination. The reason why people mainly want to do it, maybe if their scores are low, you know, it just helps to boost your score, because once they approve you and they give you the nomination, they would add 600 points to your profile. So that's just how it works. So I got that. This was a Monday, I don't forget. And because they do these draws every 2 weeks, like IRCC does the extra entry draws every 2 weeks, depending on if they want to do for all programs, certain programs, but at that time they were doing for only provincial nomination programs. So this was Monday, and I checked and I saw that the next draw was going to be on Wednesday, which is like 2 days after. So immediately I accepted. Wednesday I got my invitation to apply. God is amazing. So I had most of my documents already. I had like 95% of my documents ready. So I just uploaded everything, sharp, uploading this, uploading that, I forgot to mention that before I even got the Ontario expression of interest, before it happened in February, they had announced like in that January time that they were going to start the draws again in the summer. So I decided to, you know, a step ahead, book medicals before it gets so busy. So I booked my medicals before the provincial expression of interest came through. My medicals was for March, so I did my medicals. So they'll do the whole thing plus the extra and stuff. That was $250. So I paid $1,500 for the Ontario nomination. I paid $250 for the medicals. So yeah, I already had that document, and they sent it through, they have this e-medical they use and send it to the Canadian government, even though I didn't have an application yet. So whenever I was going to apply, it will probably be linked in the whole system. I don't know how they do that. But basically I did it, and it took about 3 days for them to process the whole thing and send it to the government. It's just FYI here. So yeah, I submitted all my documents I needed for the IRCC. That's the main thing currently. I submitted everything attached, the certificate of nomination and all those things that they ask for. The only thing I did not have ready was the police certificate, right? And I was already going to Nigeria like the following week, like the week after. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to do it in Nigeria. So that's kind of what delayed my application. So I wanted to do the police certificate in Nigeria. So I did it in Nigeria, and by the time I came back in July, I submitted my application for the PR. Sometime in August or early February, or early September, I got a notification from IRCC that my medicals have been passed, and then a month later, which is like 3 or 4 weeks later ish, like first week in October, I got a notification. Well, not a notification, so this came as an actual email. So just so you know, your peer application, them telling you that it's been approved, usually comes as an email. So don't think it's scam, and check your emails, right? Check your spam, check your junk, and it cuts across. It doesn't have to be provincial, like that's the process. because there's a separate PR portal that you have to sign in and do the whole thing. So in that email, it came with a letter attachment saying your PR application has been approved, da da da. Then they asked for my email address for me to confirm my email address. They asked for some details like last entry to Canada, the first entry to Canada, where was the location that I entered from, something like that. So I had to provide all those information, and then they set me up, like set up my account, and I think in the back end, and then I was able to log in. And I had to upload a photograph, so I had to go take a picture. They would know the whole specification and stuff for you. So I had to go take a picture, and I uploaded that, and then I got my confirmation of permanent residence, everything. And then about 2-3 weeks later was when I got my PR card. So that was the entire process. The Ontario nomination application took about 3 months, let me just say 3 months, while the main PR application took about 3 months. So like from July to September ending. That's the whole process that I wanted to share with you guys. I didn't do biometrics, so if you want to wait for the PR application, at the point when I was submitting in July, I paid $1,365 $1,500 plus I paid $250 for medicals, and then I paid $1,365. So clearly this is how much, 3,115 Canadian dollars. This is aside the money you have to have in your account. But like I said, if you're in Canada, you're working in Canada, you don't have to worry about having the entire money in your account. You can just get away with showing your pay slips, employment letter and stuff. Okay, so now to the documents that I needed to upload for the Ontario nomination program, right? This is for Ontario nomination program. And this is also similar to what you need to upload for the permanent residency application from IRCC when you get your approval. If you're doing the provincial nomination, or even if you're not, you're just going through the normal way. So the first thing, of course, your passport, your biodata page, you have to have that. You need the digital photo. You need your WES, actually the letter that they give you when they evaluate your credentials. You need your English results, so like your CELPIP results or IELTS results. You need that just to prove. So basically all the documents you're putting is to prove what you said you have, like when you're filling the whole application, right? For all the places that you say you worked in, whether in Canada, whether outside Canada, all the places that have to do with your that calculates your entire work experience, number of years, you have to upload letter of employment for them. You have to upload reference letters from them. So you reach out to your employer, tell them you're doing this application. So they have like a format that they want to have, make sure your name is there, make sure it has the company letterhead logo or something on the document. It has to have your job, your duties that you did while you're working there, how many hours you worked. It has to be full-time, like 40 hours, 35 hours, however it is, and also your salary. So yeah, from all the places that I worked, so I'd only worked in one other place, which was in Nigeria. So I reached out to him and got the letter, and I also got the letter from my current job here in Canada, as well as letter of employment and pay slips. So you'd also need settlement funds, which would be your bank statements. Still upload your bank statements regardless. Just don't worry about the amount if you're working in Canada. If you're not working in Canada, make sure you have the money in your account. Now, if you're working in Canada, you can also attach your pay slips there as proof, letter of employment, things like that. I also needed to upload my immigration status documents, so my study permits, work permits, I had to put all of those in. Because I said I have relatives in Canada, I have a brother here, so I put proof that he's my brother, like birth certificates. I had to also put like utility bills showing his name, his address, things like that. I also had to prove that I intend to reside in Ontario. So things like I put my bank statements showing my name, my bank, the branch. I put that I schooled here. I put that I'm working here. My job is here. I put that I have friends here. So I use one of my my beautiful friend, Dasola. She was already a PR person, but we've been friends for so many years. So she gave me her scanned PR copy. I have siblings here. I just put anything I could drag in to say that I'm right here, I'm not running away, because just so you know, for provincial nomination, you have to stay in that province for, I think, 3 years or 2 years. But if there's a reason why you cannot stay there, maybe like you try to find a job or didn't find a job, then maybe that's an excuse, but you have to prove that. It's a whole process. But basically you have to stay in that province for 2-3 years. If not, it's going to affect you when you're trying to do citizenship, so just bear that in mind. I had to put my upload my West document as well, my CELPIP results as well. I also had to put my T4 document, that's the tax document. This was the main thing that delayed me, because in 2 days I had uploaded all the things that I needed, but I needed my T4 because that was the first time I was going to get my T4 from working at my job, and that was like tax season, which was good. So they sent it like the last day in February, so that's when I finally applied. So, and I uploaded a copy of the T4 just so they will see that proof. So I think those are the main things that I need. It's the whole application process, you guys. They ask a lot of questions. But the good thing is, as you're stressing yourself to do it, just keep those documents, because you need to upload the same thing for the PR application. So yeah, that was my process. Also to mention, by the time I submitted my application for when I got invited to apply for the express entry, that was in July, and I said my work permit was expiring in August, right? I submitted. I then went forward to apply for a work permit. So you can apply for a work permit once you submit your PR. They would give you, just because, you know, you're waiting to hear back from them. But in my case, it got cancelled, not immediately, because before they got to processing it, they already gave me my PR. My PR was approved, so they canceled the application and they refunded me $100, because I think it was $100. So just add $100 to that $3,115. right? So that's like $3,215 or something dollars. So I basically applied for a work permit extension just because my PR application was in progress and my work permit was expiring. So that was the main reason. I think that's the whole process that I went through. I just wanted to share that with you guys. This is already so long, so I cannot talk about the Ontario pathways now, but just know there are different pathways, and I'll probably talk about that in another video, so stay tuned for that. If you guys have any questions, comments, let me know and I'll be happy to help you and answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.